What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and this I want to break down some very important information about SPY. I'm also going to talk about Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. But let me first say that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Put in $1,000 or more, you're guaranteed 15 free stocks. Anyways, looking at the market, I want to talk about some very important stuff. Looking at SPY first off is very, very indecisive right now. It's been going back and forth and back and forth. I initially thought that this thing could actually see like downside, right? I talked about that in my earlier videos. We are technically lower than where we were on Friday, but here's the thing. SPY hasn't really gone a break below this key support. It's still continuing to hold up, so we'll have to see if we end up losing our key support. So watch and see, does SPY end up losing our support at 512? Or do we keep holding above it? We've been chopping back and forth between 512 and about 512.5. So we'll see how well SPY holds up. We'll be very, very careful with it, and we'll just give this some time and see which way this ends up unraveling. If we continue to break and hold above 512.5, it could push a little bit more. And if we end up losing 512, we could decline more. So we'll see. It's been kind of in the middle for the entire day so far since the market opened. So we'll see which way this ends up breaking, but just be very, very careful. Now, I do want to call out something else. That's going to be Tesla. As we were basically talking about, as I warned you all, Tesla lost 198 and we got a big decline from this channel. So I told you we had this channel over here. If we got this break right here confirmation, expect a big drop. And there's our drop right here. Watch 192.5 as resistance. As we continue to fall, it could come all the way down to 190. It is a real possibility if we lose 192. And overall, Tesla is looking pretty weak. There is a risk of it losing 192 and coming down to 190 and just continuing to trade sideways from there. I'm seeing some weakness on the chart, so just be very, very careful with this. This is happening amidst the Chinese decline in sales because of Chinese New Year. This is what we were expecting, and there's nothing that's too surprising about this. If we do get above 192.5, it could actually push back up to 194. But overall, like I said, Tesla's looking pretty weak, so be very, very careful. For the QQQ, this is starting to turn, in my opinion. We're going to be watching 444 support. Then we have 443.5 as a very minor support, followed by 442. And then for resistance, we have 445 and 446. Overall, the QQQ is on a bit of a decline. We want to be very careful with the QQQ because this is looking weaker than SPY, in my opinion. Just looking at this has actually been declining slowly. It's very choppy, but also declining. If we lose this 444 area, especially very close to our 200 EMA, we could be looking for a bigger drop. It is a lot lower than where it was since we saw it during the pre-market. So be careful. There is that risk of this thing potentially coming down. SPY is still holding up decently, but the QQQ is looking a little bit weaker. That's despite the fact that Nvidia is still holding up. In my video, I said that Nvidia could pop a little bit and then start a little decline. We got this pop again. We're at this 850 resistance, but we have to watch and see how it reacts to this. So do we get a rejection off 850 or not? Is this where it's going to peak? It's still holding up nicely, but watch and see if this thing gets a rejection, starts turning. Hasn't really done so yet. It's still holding up. So watch 850, 852 as resistance. If it breaks 852, there's 855 and 860 coming. And we'll have to see how it goes, at least from here. If that breaks, 860 is going to be coming next. And then for a rejection, if we do get a rejection, watch 845, 842 as our support. If we lose 842, I'll be watching 837 and then below that. As of right now, it's still holding up nicely. We do have some tight resistance close to this 850 to 852 area. So we'll see how Nvidia ends up doing as it hits this tight resistance. And we'll see how well it holds up, because if it does turn from here, this could slow the QQQ down even more. As of right now, it's holding up decently, but we'll wait and see. Just be very patient for now. And we'll just be patient on Nvidia. This is still decent. Another stock that's very weak is Aapl. And we talked about this. Apple's looking very weak. We got this big decline on Aapl. We're going to be watching to see if this thing continues to hold below 174. If that's the case, watch 173.5 as minor support and 172.5 as stronger support. Resistance, make sure you watch 175 and then 176 to 176.5. So overall, there's a big decline right here. This thing could actually sink a little bit more. So just be very, very careful. Apple is still looking very, very weak. Much of the move to the downside may be done, though, so it might not crash from here. We're already down so much, but just be careful as you watch around this 174 support and around 172.5 we end up breaking. Just a couple more. I wanted to mention SPY still holding up decently, but be a little bit careful with it. Uh, don't forget about Super Micro. This is at an all-time high. We talked about this being a possibility thanks to the big news that came out about them essentially being listed on the S&P 500. So good news for them approaching 1100, still holding up very, very nicely. If it pops again, watch 1100 as resistance, watch 1064 and 1048 as supports. It's still holding up very well. Microsoft is showing a little bit of weakness. It's just kind of fighting this 415 resistance. There's not really a whole lot going on with it there. Watch 413.88 as supports. A slight decline, but overall it's still kind of stuck. And for a few more, Google's a little bit weak. It lost 136, so there's 134, 133.8, 132.5 coming next to support. Amazon's at resistance at 180, so we'll see if this thing gets a rejection or not. Watch 179 as support, 178.7 as support as well. It might decline just a little bit, then just trade sideways, but I could see this decline just a bit. Same thing with Meta. We're barely at 500, so we'll see how this thing reacts. Do we end up getting rejection or not? We'll just wait and see. Watch 500 and 501 as resistance could kind of come down from here. So that being said, SPY is still holding up very well, but other stocks like Tesla, the QQQ are looking weaker. Nvidia is at resistance, Apple's looking weaker, so be careful with all these different levels. So that being said, thank you all so much for listening. We'll see how SPY is doing. It's still holding up nicely. Now it's starting to push, but the others outside of it are looking kind of weak, so just be very, very careful. Very mixed market today so far with the tickers all over the place, and we'll see how things go from here. But anyways, be very careful, guys. Do what you have to do, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.